know a lot of times people ask me um, why and what chose you the path to work with youth. And when I listen to those or that question, I don't think I ever was able to come up with a meaningful response, because it was something that I really had to go back and search and say, why is it that I'm compelled to want youth to do and accomplish so much? We did a show yesterday, and there's a brother by the name of Nate, and I listened to Nate, and I listened to Rachel and Ray Lacey, and the whole team, Samantha and Ken, and I listened to the way that they communicate, and I'm always reminded when I listen to the way they communicate that I'm not an eloquent speaker. And this goes back to, well, why is it that you're working with the youth? And I think, I know it's because I understand what a lot of them are going through. I was that youth. I remember in the 5th grade, used to go to Riley Elementary School, and I had an altercation, or my dad had an altercation with me. My dad was a minister. I'm not going to say he was a bad person. I think he was just challenged in a lot of areas and didn't have that father figure to assist him in getting out. So he just had a lot of anger. And I remember that anger being turned on me at 7426 Dangerfield, right in the middle of the hallway, and my dad was sitting on my arms and just hitting me, banging my head against the floor. And from that moment, I used to love math, I used to love reading, I used to love just information. And from that point on, every time that I read, I could never retain knowledge. And that created so much anger inside of me, because I couldn't understand, why is it that now I'm not able to read and retain information. So I stayed in trouble in the 5th grade to where I was inside of this class for the whole year. Her name was Miss Brown. I remember her. She was an amazing lady, just so supportive and so understanding. But I was trapped because I stayed in fights. So I used to stay in the single class, and I just remember I didn't want to go to school, and I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go to school, and I didn't want to go home. So mind you, I finished that school year and don't really remember too much of anything, because also not only did that affect me being able to retain anything it is that I read from a book, but my memories would be short. So a lot of things I don't remember. So when I listen to individuals who's able to talk about the stories, and individuals who's able to retain memories of their lives, and information, and individual who's able to talk with such eloquently, it makes me, or it reminds me of how did you make it through high school? How did you hide the fact that when you had homework, you had Spanish, and you had biology, and you had to wing it, wasn't afraid to let people know that you didn't understand, because I remember in math I used to keep my hand up so much because I didn't understand the problem. And I just remember some students said, man, when you used to have your hand up, it was good for me because I didn't have to have my hand up. It was a lot that I didn't understand either. So I didn't mind raising my hand up and letting people know that I didn't know, because I wanted to learn. Unfortunately, it just never came to me. So I don't know if I maybe got some brain damage at such a young age, or concussion, or what. The only thing that I knew is I wasn't able to read and retain. And still to this day, I'm not able to read anything and retain it. As soon as I read it, I'll forget it. I remember before I went to college, taking my SAT. And when I was taking my SAT, I was saying to myself, because the internet wasn't around then, so you have to kind of like figure out, okay, well, if you don't know the answer, I don't know if it was in a book or something, or maybe a teacher said it or something, but she said, if you don't know the answer of multiple choice, choose C. I think it was C. Well, when I took my SAT, I couldn't remember if it was B or if it was C. So mind you, when I'm taking my SAT and I'm not understanding if it's a B or if it's a C, I decided to say, well, since you don't remember, you may need to just choose both and then frequently choose A or D. Well, believe it or not, I scored very, very well on my SAT. And taking my SAT, I did not know a single question that I can recall on that SAT. So when I went to college, I'm always reminded of the Cosby Show in different worlds. When I went to college, it was definitely a different world for me. You had this insecure young man who had a false sense of confidence in a different world that he couldn't understand. So when I went to college, I've always been a loner. Never really wanted to join any type of organization, and it just so happened I was roommates with one of the captains of Alpha Phi Alpha. And I said if I did join one, I want to join Alpha Phi Alpha. But I never did. I said all that to say, for those children, or for that child, or for the student who went through a lot of emotional and physical abuse within their home, I say to that child, there's hope, there's earnest expectation. Whatever it is that you desire in your life, God has still the God in you, the energy, the source of power, has instilled in you a passion and a purpose. And finding out what that purpose is, when there's so much confusion, can be very, very difficult. So my heart goes out to the youth. That's why I deal with the youth. So when I listen to Nate, you listen to Rachel, and I just hear how well they're able to communicate. Now it allows me to see that you may not be able to speak that eloquently, but you're still operating in your purpose, and you're still operating in your gifts. So in doing that, it makes me proud to say to all of you youth, all of you who are young, all of you who are experiencing difficulty in your life, all of those who have been bullied, all of those who feel like there's no fight, all of you who feels like there's no solutions to whatever your problems are, all of those who may be suicidal, all of those who may be going through mental disorders, bipolars, dyslexia. I remember being tested and they said that I had dyslexia at a very young age, and I was just like, I just don't remember nothing. Um, um, and people may say, well, how are you able to know what it is that you're able to know if you can't read and retain knowledge? And I have to share with them, anytime that one talent is taken away, then other gifts and talents are enlightened. So I rely upon Spirit to share with me, to as well as experience to share with me, so that I may share with those individuals who may have suffered or are suffering the same thing, and maybe do not have anyone that they can share that with. So I've always been a person for the people. It doesn't matter how old you are. You don't have to be young. It's anybody who is looking for a solution, anyone who is looking for opportunities, anyone who's looking for answers, anyone who's looking for help in a manner. If we can't provide you with that help, then we want to find someone who can. I'm also reminded of my sons as they were getting older. I noticed that because of the chaos that was inside of our home with my dad, it made me an angry kid, to where I would start fights with, my youngest brother, and that created division. Because even though we got each other's back, it just created division when you're growing up. And I didn't want that same divisions with my sons. I remember when my dad was banging my head up against the floor. I just remember me saying, I want 3 sons. I want 3 sons. And I remember crying myself to sleep. And there's some other things that I remember, because when he did that, I was so angry to where I got like a knife. And my mom and dad used to have a room to where it should be like a sliding door. So it wasn't a door that you can open. You had to slide open to get in. But I remember when he did that, and I was crying, and in the back of my mind, I was like, because there was 3 of us, 3 brothers, and I just remember saying, I want 3 sons, with tears rolling down my face. And I said, and I was in the 5th grade. So, and he blessed me with 3. Some say that I have more. So if there's any more out there, don't count it against my heart. But I have 3 sons, and I just knew at that moment, when those tears was rolling down my face, I just knew that I was going to be totally the opposite of how my father was. And I remember me being so angry till I went into the kitchen. I got the biggest knife that I could find. And I told myself, I'm going to get rid of you. You will not ever hit me again. I was hurting. And I remember going towards the door where he lays on the side of his bed. And my dad was one who snores, right? So it was perfect for me, because I knew that I'll get him because he's snoring, and I could hear him snoring. But it's like every time that I crack that door, and the funny thing is he normally do not have the doors closed. So for some reason that night the doors was closed, and I was so afraid, scared at the same time. And every time I tried to crack that door, I heard him stop snoring. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Mind you, we were like really tiny. And like we wasn't the type of fifth graders where we was tall. We was real short. Even in high school, I think we were still not even 5 foot tall yet. So just mind that little bitty kid with this big old knife that's probably bigger than from the chest going down to from the top of my neck going down to the bottom of my stomach. The knife was bigger than myself. So and every time he stopped snoring, I just said, okay, if he catches you with this knife, you're dead. So I remember taking that knife, putting it back in the kitchen, going into my room, and crying myself to sleep. So I say this not for sympathy, not for even empathy. I share this because later on, my dad was kind of sick, and as he was getting sick, I was able to really communicate with him. I was able to really talk with him. I was able to establish a relationship with him and forgive him, because I realized when I asked him a question, I said, why did you do us this way? Why did you beat that out of us for no reason? And he said, that's all that I knew. That's all that I knew. I didn't even know I was even doing it to that extent, but that's how I was raised. So I was one of those individuals who I didn't have to carry rage with me. That was my peace. You're talking about somebody who, after my dad banged my head, I never cried a day again after that day until after I spoke to my dad before he passed, and when he shared with me that he didn't know. And I think I was so hard. I was so just hard. I was a hard person. I was a angry person after my brother passing, because I couldn't understand. I was like, God, how could you take my brother? And we was nice guys. We did everything. So my heart became hardened because I didn't understand life and why life was the way that it was. But after my daddy passed, I think I'm a crybaby now. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of those guys where, like I taught my sons, somebody put their hands on you, take care of your business. So of course you make sure that they go to mixed martial arts at a very young age, so you want them to really be ahead of the game, and you share with them. You don't have to fight. You don't have to, somebody says something to you, you don't have to prove yourself, because MMA is about discipline. And when you reach a certain level in your life, it's about discipline. So when they put their hands on you, then I want you to just kick ass. Well, I didn't want my sons to grow up to be divided. So when you have them that many, that short few years apart, I think one was 6, one was 7, and the other was probably 11 and 12. So I wanted them to understand how to problem solve. And the best way to do that is when they were young, I paid them like dollars and to problem solve. Whoever came up with anytime you have a disagreement and you problem solve, you come to your dad, whoever have the best problem solve, whoever problem solved the best, then I'll pay you, $3. So mind you, they're coming to me 3 or 4 times a day. And this is over a matter of years now. They're 16 and 17. Hey bro, you're 16 and 17. now you're hustling your dad. So you don't have to keep coming to me now. So it's funny then. But I realized there was two things that my sons gained from that. They were able to communicate with each other in the midst of confusion, in the midst of division, and they was able to problem solve. But one thing even more important, if they wasn't able to problem solve and work it out, no matter what the problem was, they could always come to their dad and say, Dad, this is a problem that we're having. What are your thoughts? There's nothing greater when you have males who are sons who's able to come to you when they have a problem with anything, no matter what it is, no matter what the topic is or whatever, and you're able to sit down and discuss it as men, as young men. There's nothing more fulfilling to a father who's able to do that. Nothing more fulfilling. So, when it comes to youth, when it comes to understanding what it is that people are going through, it's like I feel their pain. And I want to be there to help. So if you teach your sons how to problem solve, then what you're doing also is you have this uncanny ability to be able to problem solve yourself. So when you look at the world, when you look at the kids, and you look at the youth, and you look at everything it is that's affecting us as a generation, as culture, as races, has been divided, you say to yourself, there is a simple solution for this, because we're so deeply divided. And I believe that that solution is staying connected on and only on the things that we can agree upon. If we go outside that realm of disagreement, everybody wasn't raised to problem solve. That makes sense? Everyone wasn't raised to problem solve. So there's a lot of dysfunction in us all. There's a lot of hurt in us all. And there's a lot of different ways, and not always polished ways or positive ways, that we solve or that we problem solve. And some are poisonous and some are toxic. So we walk with these feelings of insecurities. We walk with these feelings of hurt, disappointment. We walk with these feelings of pain. We walk with these feelings of strife, conflict, jealousy. And we can't help it because that's just the way that we are. And I learned this from a pastor, his name is Scott, until we replace that with new data, that old data is going to continue to remain. So that's why I share with the mass. That's why I share with the people until we learn to problem solve, because it's not something that you can do today if you wasn't trained or if you wasn't taught that at a young age. You just can't do it today. It doesn't work like that. So if we can just stick to the things that we agree upon. There's people who was born to be basketball players. There's people who was born to be scientists. There's people who was born to be entertainers. There's people who was born to work for individuals. There's people who was born for politics. But just because you're in politics just makes you a great debater. It doesn't make you one with solutions. So all of those individuals who I see that are in politics, they're great debaters. And whoever has the great debate wins the popular vote. doesn't mean that you have solutions. Doesn't mean, because when you get into office, you have no freaking clue on what it is that you're going to do or how you're going to solve problems. You're just able to retain knowledge. Most are able to just retain knowledge and repeat what it is that they're able to retain, versus me, myself, wasn't able to look at a book, read a book, and be able to retain it and speak with such, to speak eloquently. Just never was that person. So we're all trained and specialized with certain gifts. We all have certain gifts, right? So you have trainers, you have politicians, you have athletes, you have entertainers, but you also have those individuals who are solutionists. Why is it that politicians never seek out the public? It's always been a question to me. Why haven't politicians who are there to create change never seek out those who are gifted to provide solution, who are gifted to problem solve? I know why. Because no one has really ever thought about that. There are many of us who are out there that's able to problem solve. The question is, have we become so divided, so selfish, and so much into vanity and ego to where it's all about us? To where it's all about us. And if it's not, seek those who are problem solvers. There is a lot of individuals out there who have solutions. So you say, what is he talking about? Well, we have a solution. It's called Virtual Branding Solution. It's for that child who is going through a lot. It's for those individuals. It's for a state who is divided. It's for those people who have hate in their heart and don't want hate in their heart. I want you to think about this. If you have hate inside of your heart, just imagine how much toxic your body, your energy, your spirit has been for as long as you've been carrying that hate around. That's a lot of toxic. It's a lot of toxic. And you have nowhere to place that toxic other than to spread it to other individuals, because you want them to feel exactly the way that you're feeling. Those who have envy, those who have strife, I'm speaking to those individuals who no longer want this in their life. How do you do that? Again, there's things that will keep us divided, and there are those things that will keep us unified. I say, stay focused on the things that keeps us unified. Everyone can agree that our youth need help. Everyone can agree that our educational system need help. Everyone can agree that we all need a place to lay our heads. Everyone can agree that we want to operate in our purpose and not work a 9-to-5 job for someone for so many years, giving everything it is that we have, only to end up sick and not being able to pay your rent and losing everything just because you couldn't catch up. Everyone agrees that despite how I feel about you, I don't really mind if you have a place to stay, as long as I have a place to stay. If we can concentrate on those entities and forget about social media. Forget about all the negativity that people are spreading out there. How do you feel about the blue party? How do you feel about the red party? Have you taken the red pill? Have you taken the blue pill? All of those forces out there are negative energies that have spread it to us because we were also infected at a young age to the point where now we're infected and we're sharing that toxic infection and our pain through social media because we need a platform to express how we truly feel on the inside. And because I'm not an eloquent speaker, I have to share VB, Virtual Branding Solution. Virtual, and again, these things are to keep us unified on the things that we agree. I don't care to share anything that can make you disagree, because as soon as you disagree, you remove yourself. But if I can share with you things that we all agree upon, it removes competition. Competition from day one has divided us because it makes us say to ourselves, I have to, in order to outbeat this person, to have, otherwise it's going to be taken from me. And I can't have this taken from me because of fear. It's fear. What is virtual branding solution? What's going on in our society that we can agree upon? Economically, there's a problem when it comes to economically. There's a lot of oppression and what do you call it? Poverty that's in a lot of cities that we are not discussing. And a lot of that poverty we are a part of. But how dare I share that? And when you're going through that poverty, you have so much that you're dealing with because now your kids are suffering. They're going through now some more emotional things that you can't assist them with. And now it's like it's just too much. So we say to ourselves, who's that bully out there who's talking about that little boy who was had a claustrophobic bag and ended up committing suicide? It's a hurting child who mom or dad wasn't there, or mom was there, but who mom probably is in poverty and having a hard time with that child because she's having a hard time trying to pay her bills so that child can eat and so that she can have a roof over her head. So it's like everything goes into a circle. There's poverty. And with poverty, there has to be an economic plan, right? Not one that the politicians are sharing with us to get elected, only to not hear from them until the next election. Again, there's problem solvers out there. Virtual branding solution. It's economic. I want to talk about economic empowerment. Something that we all can agree upon. Because that mom, that dad who has that child is just looking for extra resources. And with the competition being so great, how can I compete when I have 3 or 4 jobs and I still can't eat? How can my son, who is at a school where they don't wear uniforms and he's embarrassed to go because he has holes in his tennis shoes? In every school year, there's lines and lines of poverty who's getting in line to get these school supplies, bags, and we together have to come together to assist them. There are people who has problem-solving gifts. And why are we feeling a sense of inferiority to those people with gifts? The same inferiority that I at one time felt for Nate, for Rachel, who have the gift of speaking, until I was able to understand you have a gift that you can operate in. Every one of you have a gift, a purpose that you can operate in. Unfortunately, because when times get so rough in our lives, when obstacles become so tough in our lives, we cannot concentrate or even be aware that we have a gift, let alone operate in our purpose. So we're frustrated daily. And when you're frustrated daily, it's easy to become that crab in a barrel. When you see somebody coming up, it's not that you don't want them to be successful, it's just that you don't want to not be successful with them. Or just not be successful and see them successful, and you have to be reminded that you're not successful. Right? So one thing we can agree upon is economic empowerment, community empowerment, youth empowerment, and small business empowerment. Virtual branding solution, but it's going to take the people. When you listen to this, I don't care if you're white, I don't care if you're Asian, I don't care if you're black, I don't care what color you are, what race, what nationality, what gender. If you don't allow yourself to look in the mirror, I don't care if you're racist, if you don't allow yourself to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I voted secretly for Barack Obama because I needed help with my family. But it didn't turn out like I thought it was going to turn out. So it made me do what? Made me hate even more. It made me disbelieve anymore. So I don't believe because of what this country has come into. Well, again, there's scientists out there that are creating TIs. There's scientists out there that are creating these robots. That's a gift. And again, there's a small solution to this economic problem that we're having that's creating poverty. If you research or Google poverty in every major city, those that are in Dallas doesn't know that it's going on in Chicago, that it's going on in Baltimore, that it's going on in North Carolina, that it's going on in a lot of these, Atlanta, all these major cities. We don't know because we're only concerned about our own. So the media isn't, of course, talking about that. So I'm speaking to every one of you who have envy, who know, because you're able to look in the mirror, right? Every one of you who feel envy, every one of you who feel strife, every one of you who feel racism, every one of you feel hate, to look in the mirror and say to yourself, yes, that's me. And yes, I can agree on economic empowerment because that helps me. It helps my child. Every one of you who may not have had the type of relationship that you want with your sons and daughters because your father wasn't the type of father or your mom wasn't the type of mom who could teach that to you. So your child may have, and you may have been too busy working and providing for your child, and that child has now become wayward and they're just looking for a direction. Everyone, that no one is exempt, because all of us have drank the monkey juice. This is one of those moments where we're looking inside of our own mirror and we're saying to ourselves, this is me. This is me. Because no one is exempt. We all have a Netflix story. We all have a documentary, some more so than others. We become a city, a state, a country, a nation, a community full of Pharisees. Jesse, reminded of Jesse. Guess what's happening with Jesse? We become Pharisees. That he that is without sin cast the first stone. What he did was, I think it was terrible what he did, but I can share some of the things that I've done to other people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he beat himself up. You know what I'm saying? And he changed the way that we looked at each other in a time where that's not necessary. It's not needed. But he's just one of those childs. Don't know what happened to him in his life or anything happened to him in his life that made him become, the person that he is today. But something happened in his life. I mean, you being Jewish, you being black, it's identity issues. You being, LGBT, you're gay. That's, I couldn't imagine the insecurities. And just because you're a great actor and you're able to retain a script doesn't make you one who is able to relieve yourself of the issues that have created that script for you in the script of your life. So we all become judgmental. Everything that we see, we're judging now. We are the Pharisees. So I'm speaking to all of us because we've all drank some of that monkey juice. Virtual branding solution. Every small business owner, every club, every sports club, every child, doesn't matter how, well, if you're 9 years old and you're able to speak, we want to empower you. We want you to be able to go to a business and start young as a young entrepreneur. Who would disagree with that? Well, I don't think they should do it at 9. Well, maybe your child is not able to do it at 9, but there's some kids who are. Whatever age it is where that child is responsible enough to be able to empower himself and learn some things about himself, that's the age where you can start. Again, why did I say that? Because we want to be divided on anything. Doesn't matter. I can say 8, you're too young. There's some sharp 8th graders. There's some sharp 8-year-olds. There's some sharp 10th graders. There's some sharp 10-year-olds. And there's some that's not so sharp. And everything is based upon our own experiences. So we shouldn't be basing our experiences on the experiences of others. Virtual branding solution. It's a referral program that pays you residually. VB Solutions, Virtual Branding Solutions, have devised a dream package worth over $5,500 monthly. Everything a small business or entity would need for less than $400, $300, $200, $100, depending on what type of entity that you're in. You say, well, how does this work? Well, when you refer that small business to register with Virtual Branding Solution, this not only employs, but it gives you the resources to start again. But it gives us the recipe to win. In return, as a VB solutionist, you share that referral weekly to all your social media platforms. It's called co-branding. Your followers, your friends, your family, they do the same. And when you need that business product or services, you shop with them first. You ever heard pay it forward? You ever heard you scratch my back, I scratch yours approach? Well, think about it. This empowers all organizations, people, and communities that participate despite their race, their gender, their creed, while staying connected only on the things that we agree. You ever see those kids that's on the side of the street and they got these buckets and they're saying, will you donate to my football team? Will you donate to my sports team? Would you donate to my drama team? Have you ever spoke to any of those kids? The car wash, they hate being on the side of the road begging for resources. Do you know who else be on the side of the streets begging will work for food? You know what that reminds them of every time it is that they do that? So there's over, 140 million businesses in the country, I think. Google tells us everything, right? So I think that's more than enough to keep us unified. Everyone who participates co-brands and supports each other while saving money, thus creating a positive cash flow. That's it. We are support. There's no competition now. Everyone co-brands each other who participates. If you have this youth sports organization that comes to your establishment and say, we are a VB solutionist and we want to support your business and we have a dream package that you can't refuse. Inside of this $5,500 dream package, it's everything that you can even imagine. And you're also put inside of this virtual video magazine that no one has ever seen before. So now we're able to shop for your talent, whether you're an artist, whether you're a stylist, whether you a restaurant, it doesn't matter, whatever an attorney, whatever entity it is that you have. Now people are shopping based upon your personality. And now you're able to build programs. So when these youths, as early as 10 years old, 9 years old, who goes to this business, and the residuals, let's say there's $50 residual. So you register a business, that business is giving to that student $50 every single month. It's not a one time, it's residual. It's every single month. That little kid has $50. If he goes to, remember, there's 140 million businesses. So of course, if he goes to 20 businesses, how much is that? You see what I'm saying? $1,000? $1,000. That 10-year-old is receiving every single month. Now, what are we doing? We're creating programs. Because one of the most important, and this is something I know that we can all agree upon, right? Once you have a program that teaches that child how to do their finances, how to create their own wealth, how to save their money, how to do X, Y, Z. Now not only as this child has established an entrepreneurship by communicating with this business, but he's also learning how to finance his resources at a very young age. And let's just say that he decides where he doesn't want to go to college. And he said, I just want to do this. I just want to go around and get a piece of these 140 million businesses. Every year, these businesses will continue to become more, because now he has his own business. And now he's able to employ. These are things that we can agree upon. It's a solution. It's a solution. And it starts with you. So, to that child who is aching, this will create the programs it is for you to be able to sustain your income, to create wealth for you, and to create worth for you. And what I mean by that is life coaches that are able to come into your life and assist you with the behavior concerns that you have by replacing that old data with that new data. I say it doesn't matter what color the person is who came up with the solution. You have Google is a $1 billion industry. You have Facebook, who is a $1 billion industry. What? And no pun to them, and really no pun to them. What are they giving back to the community, as opposed to you have a company who is saying, whatever you pay on your advertising, you're getting a $5,500 package, and some for less than $99. And a percentage of that will always go back into the community. I challenge Google. I challenge Netflix. I challenge Facebook. I challenge all of you to give something back into your community. But if you don't give something back, all of you who have been divided as a country for so long, change your mindset, change your new data. Refuse to speak about anything that will keep you divided, and only concentrate on the things that we can agree upon. And I guarantee you, not only will your small business grow, not only will your sons and daughters be able to go into these programs that are not, some will cost, but a lot of them will be free. Not only will they go inside of these programs, but they also will be replaced with that new data of, we're only discussing the things that we agree upon. Because at the end of the day, what's more important is what? You want your sons and daughters to be able to have a free mind. You want them to be able to eat whenever they need to eat. You want them to be able to drink whenever they need to drink water, whatever they need to wear. You want them to be able to have the right type of clothes where they don't feel like someone else is better than them. I don't care who you are. You want that child to feel that way. And if you don't want that child to feel that way, this is not for you. So it doesn't matter if it's black owned, because if you look at this, it's not black owned. It's owned by us all. It's owned, let me say that again. It's owned by U.S. all. U.S. United United States International. It's owned by us all. It's a partnership. What company do you know that's going to give you a percentage of their company at the startup that can empower you to not have to do a 9-to-5, but to create your own 9-to-5? We're smart people. Do the math. Do the math. This will not only create a positive cash flow for millions of business owners and millions of communities and thousands of people, but it will create more job opportunities for those individuals who are passionate and who are purpose. VB Solution, VAMIM.com. B as in Victor, AMIM.com. Thank you. One more thing. This needs to be shared to the mass. If you're listening to this, it's your responsibility. Again, if you're divided, don't worry about it. If you're divided, this will never be for you, because that means that the toxic is so deep inside of you that it's too late. It's just too late. And remember, if it's too late for you, it's going to be too late for your child. Don't let your child grow up to be as miserable as you feel on the inside, convincing yourself that you're less toxic and that you haven't infected them with the same effect. There's an antidote. VB Solution, VAMIM.com. When someone comes to your business and they are VB Solutionists, let them in. Have a good day.
For all the people that really don't know what the package is, it's pretty much a branding and exposure package. You know, if you're an artist, you're a local business, if you're a big business that got a name to it, now you can brand your business on the radio. You can brand your business in a virtual publishing magazine. Yeah. So that means you got like flying cars, you got jet rockets with fuel. You can see the flame and animations. It's all within a magazine. So now, imagine flipping on your phone and you just swiping and you just reading a magazine and you finding yourself in that book.
Virtual, man. Virtual. And in the magazine, it has videos, it has all your social media stuff on there. If you have merch on there, like shirts, all that, they can buy your shirts, all that. It's like an e-commerce magazine. You're able to buy everything while in there. And you can send it through any type of app, any type of text message. It's easily sendable. So you can put it on your social media and people can open it up and all your music and stuff is right there.
It's basically a website, but a magazine. So one thing extra that we're doing about it to help the communities, we're having the youth build these virtual magazines. So let's say whenever one of us purchased the magazine or one of you guys purchased the magazine, guess who's building the magazine? It's not us. We're having the youth in your communities build the magazine and they get paid every month because you paid for it. So now not only are you helping Virtual Brand Solutions and GFN Radio 1 and the local artists, now you're helping the youth that's in your community. It's all about coming together, bro. We're not doing this just to scam artists. We're not doing this just so we can get paid. We here
for the community, man. We're trying to get back.
We're here to bring the community together.
You tired of working?
I know I'm tired of working.
I'm tired of working.
So look, bro, get these packages, bro. Help your community, help your local business, co-brand each other. Don't try to fight each other and win when it's not a winning society.
Right. It's a marathon, not a race.
Exactly.
Marathon.